Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 9 to Side podcast, where we chat with super amazing and inspirational people who pounded the pavement before and after their 9 to 5s to get their side hustles off the ground. After listening to the interviews with these amazing guests, you'll walk away with a refreshed pep in your step and a newfound motivation to make your side hustle a reality. Hey everyone, and welcome to season 1, episode 6. If you're listening to episode 6, thank you so much. I'm assuming that you listened to 1 through 5, but maybe not. If you listened to 1 through 5, thank you. If you're just listening to episode 6, that's cool too. Thanks for being here. And yeah, it's still January as I'm recording this, which means it's still winter, so I'm still depressed, but it's all good. I kind of wish this was a call-in show so I could talk to people why I do this intro, because I feel like the intro is always weird because I'm kind of talking to myself. But anyway, it's all good. I am becoming more and more excited about this kind of side hustle podcast just because it's brought me so much joy, truthfully, just to hear all these interviews kind of come to fruition and then be put out there for you guys to listen to, because I think the people that I'm talking to are so cool and inspirational and fun, and just it's really inspiring to talk to these people, to be honest. So I want to talk about my next guest, who I think is a really cool kind of different twist to a side hustle, because a lot of people that you talk to about their side hustles, and some of the people I've interviewed, have actually started their business from the ground up, which can be incredibly intimidating. It can be a lot of work and sometimes money invested. And this next guest, Amy Hoaglund, is doing something called Beachbody, which she'll talk about. But I think it's an interesting side hustle because it's a way to get into something while you're doing a full-time job that doesn't require putting out a ton of money, but still kind of pursuing a passion of yours. And I think she kind of talks about the entry to this, but it really kind of fulfills something that she was really interested in doing. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Amy Hoaglund, and she'll tell you all about her side hustle and how she got into it. All right, here's Amy Hoaglund. Amy Hoaglund. So first, I just wanted to ask you and just give me some background on you just as a person before we even get into the side hustle. Just give me some background on you, like what your life is like, what you do in your kind of day-to-day for your normal life, your normal gig. Give me that snapshot of your life.
Well, I am a teacher. I'm going to be teaching second grade this year. I've been in the same district for a long time. I think this is my 17th year. Mm-hmm. And I have 3 boys, and my husband is a teacher also. So that's why we like to live it up in the summer, because we're both off. So
We've gone on sabbaticals in the summer for like a month.
I know, it's the best. It's our favorite time of year.
Oh.
But yeah, I've always been a pretty big exercise enthusiast. And I mean, recently I've been really focusing on eating right. So hard to answer that question, because now it's like, what was your life like pre-COVID? Oh,
Yeah. I mean, well, COVID kind of threw everything for a loop. So before COVID, you were a teacher, you have 3 boys. I feel like when people hear this, though, like a lot of people are just like, okay, like that's enough to like juggle on its own. I think there's a lot of people out there who are like barely surviving with just me being one of them, with just like their regular job and 1 kid, let alone 3 kids at home. And how old are your boys?
They are 10, almost 8, and 5.
Okay. And you seem so well adjusted and relaxed, which is
right. Oh my gosh. Listen, one of the best things to happen in 2020 was I went on Lexapro, and you don't have to figure that out. It's seriously one of the best things that's ever happened to me, and everybody who knows me will say it.
I'm telling you, I am all for medication. I'm telling you, I'm like, you can have a quality of life that's here, or you can have a quality of life that's here, and it makes a humongous difference, especially when the world is like crashing in on you. So I totally hear that. So I know you've always been into working out. Weren't you a Zumba instructor at one point? I mean, when all along in your life, what have you done on the side, like as things besides teaching that have kind of, I guess, led you? And then we'll get into like what your side hustle is.
Yeah, I love dancing. And so then I taught dance like as an instructor. And then up until the pandemic stopped for Encore, yeah, I used to be a Zumba instructor. So I've always really gravitated toward fitness and movement and dance. And I've always really kind of loved those things. But yeah, I mean, I think that besides teaching, I've always either taken a lot of exercise classes, which a lot of times led to becoming an instructor, whether like Zumba or dancing and stuff. So definitely, I think because I have a scorching case of ADD, even medicated. So I've always, like, especially going to school, like when I was a kid, I always needed to know that I was going to be able to like move my body. So I think movement has always been really important to like who I am, to kind of like get a lot of my energy out. So I've always really gravitated towards movement in one way or the other.
Okay, so now I want to reveal what your side hustle is and tell everybody, but then I sort of want to I go back after that and ask you like all along what kind of led up to that and why you didn't maybe initially lead with that first. Tell everybody, say you've been a teacher, you're a teacher, and then now what is your side hustle? How would you describe it? Tell us what it is.
Right before I got into this side hustle, I was really trying to like look for different things to do, like different kind of like side hustles. And so January, one of Eric's former students, my husband Eric, his name's Chris Bachlet. He had a traumatic brain injury. I also taught a lot of his cousins. So I kind like personally, and also knowing him through a lot of people I care about, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a no brainer. I'm going to sign up and do this and to support him. And I finished my first program during the pandemic. I was in pretty good shape before it. And during the pandemic, I had anxiety really badly and I had it took a toll on me and I lost a lot of weight. All that muscle that I worked so hard, I got down to I'm 5 feet, but I got down into like the 80s and it was just not good. And so I started doing this workout program. It's called 21 Day Fix. And all of a sudden I started to get my muscle back. And one of my other friends who was doing it she kind of had the opposite thing during quarantine and she started losing weight. And I just felt like, wow, this is pretty amazing. There are all these different programs. And I said to,
And what's it through? Tell us what it's through.
oh, it's for Beachbody.
Beachbody. Okay.
Yeah. And so so Chris at the time, his sister Casey, I said to her, I was like, how do you coach? Like, this is amazing. What do you have to do? And so she kind of like walked me through it. And basically what you had to do is really learn the different programs and try to help people get set up on a fitness program. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. I'm like, do I have to get my personal training? Because I had been wanting to do that. And like, frankly, I can't believe I made it 40 years old and I hadn't done that. And so she was like, no, she's like, because the super trainers do that. You just have to get people, you have to kind of model the lifestyle, which I was already doing with the fitness, but I really have been like working on it with my nutrition. And she was like, and you just have to listen to the people and try to get them the different programs that they want. And then you run like different challenge groups and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could totally do this. So I started in March and I just have never looked back. I absolutely, absolutely love it.
Well, you look incredible. I feel like you've changed, not like about losing weight, your just body, like composition has changed. Like you look so physically fit, like in terms of your muscle tone and all that, like in terms of strength. That's why I stalked you on Instagram and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, I need to get involved.
That's like so nice to hear because I feel like for years and years and years, I mean, decades, honestly, I was just so hyper focused on like that number on a scale. Mm-hmm. And then it just was like, I want to be strong, not skinny. You know, I want to be able to do crazy things with my boys. And I just want to be able to do all this stuff. And I want to like test my body and like see what it's capable of. And then once I really started to eat better too, I started like at what you were just mentioning, that's when I really started to see like my body change. And it's just been so rewarding. And I kind of felt like I've been on both sides. You know, after having kids, I wanted to do programs to lose the weight. And then I also wanted to like get my muscle back. So, cause you know, it was a little shocking. I was like very thin. And so I think this program has just helped me so much. And it's just such a good mindset. The other thing I want to say that was actually really motivating to me, when Chris Bachlet had his injury. So he had been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the hospital and they were trying to give him like all this garbage food and he just like was refusing to eat. And then his mom went and got all of this more healthful food and he started eating it. And basically, and he also was practicing his mindfulness. And basically, the doctors were they were blown away that his progress and it was accelerating at the rate that it was. And it really made me think, yes, I've always exercised. I haven't always eaten right. Like that has been my thing. Like, oh, I can eat goldfish for lunch, like mac and cheese, and I can still look.
Right.
But it's not true. I really think that this Beachbody what he was doing really helped mind, body, soul. It really helped his recovery. And now that I'm in my 40s, that is just like so appealing to me. And it just motivated me so much.
And you feel so, I mean, I think that's so true. And that's actually, I followed through you. I like got deep into his story too. And it's like incredible. And I was like pretty moved by that as well. Like just how like he overcame that injury, which was amazing. So I guess like my question too is that like now, because this is about side hustle and everything like that, it's like your whole life, you've always been interested in like fitness and health and movement and stuff. Like I know why you kind of got into it, but like, why didn't you choose health and fitness and kind of that avenue, like being a teacher and doing that full time from kind of the beginning? And then what was kind of the like the second part of that question is sort of like, what was the catalyst? Like what makes it like a side hustle? And do you want to kind of, it seems like you want to take it further than that and kind of make it like your main hustle. It seems to be where your passion is. Am I wrong in saying that?
Oh, you're totally right. I mean, the first part of the question, at first I was like trucking along, like teaching, and I do love teaching, but it's changed so much. And then you throw the pandemic into it. And I think like teaching dance, that was really a great avenue for a long time. And then, my husband's a phys ed teacher. Once I hit maybe like my late 30s, I was sort of like, why didn't I do that? And even teaching Zumba, it was almost like little pockets. And then I started having kids and I felt like those little pockets weren't sort of like pacifying me anymore. And I was like, well, when am I ever going to be able to go back to school to be like a personal trainer? My cousin I think she's such a hard worker and she's absolutely amazing, my cousin Dana. But I was just like, how am I going to have time to honestly to try to balance everything and like go back to school and it was kind of crazy. But I was really considering it because I just wasn't in the best headspace. Like I just needed more. I wanted to be able to help more people and do more things in this kind of, I guess, in this avenue of fitness. And then this all happened. And I was just like, wow, this is exactly what I've been looking for without even knowing it really existed.
Right.
Like I remember watching, I think on, what Housewives was it? I think it's
Which Housewives was it? You're revealing a lot about yourselves.
totally.
Like, really, you watch more than one housewife.
It's Beverly Hills Housewives.
Oh, that's a good one.
And she's an accountability coach. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like that's like exactly what I want. Like, how do you go about it? And she had like her own business. So I had never really heard of Beachbody. Like I remember like years ago, I heard about P90X, like all that different stuff. But like I didn't ever put it together. So when this came, I was like, this is exactly what I was waiting for. Or like, this is what I needed because who knows, maybe down the road, I can go back and get my personal training, whatever it's called. But this is definitely fulfilling me in so many ways that it's really been such a blessing. Yeah. And in terms of like side hustle to main hustle, ideally, I would absolutely love, I mean, we have such a great community and such a great team. And we have all these really awesome leaders. A lot of them are doing this now full time. And definitely in my sight, it will be a few years probably before I could do that. But of course, that's the goal. Like I would always love to still be involved with children. I would really love almost be like an advocate for kids, like help with kids who need little like special needs and IEPs. Like I would love to do that. Like I would never want to fully walk away from teaching.
Yeah.
But that's like a dream come true if I could do this full time and have some flexibility in my life.
But you feel like for now, like you've kind of satisfied like what you were missing, like when you were saying those little pockets of things, like finding this has kind of been your thing that's fulfilled that what you were looking for, basically, that
Yes,
you weren't.
completely. And so much so that it's like shocking to me. And even like relationships within the beach body community that I've made virtually. I
Mhm.
mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's just such a rewarding job. I mean, I don't even like to call it a job, but it's so rewarding because just to be able to help others and also just to see the success that like I've had personally with it and also to be able to like people want to listen, teach them what's working for me, or if, oh, that's not your thing. Well, this I know worked for someone else. Like it's really just been so fun, especially I feel like people have been in such a funk during this pandemic, especially after like the lockdown. And so just to get people back on their feet and make them feel healthy again, it's just so rewarding to me.
Well, I think what you do, and that's so cool because I've seen you even virtually because I haven't seen you like physically in person in so long, but even virtually, like watching you on Instagram, like I just feel you can kind of, and that's what to me like draws me to want to talk to people is that you can like see it through like Instagram or Facebook, like you've just really like slotted into your wheelhouse and what makes you feel good. And I think fitness too, and in anything when you are loving what you're doing and you're feeling good about it, like people are drawn to you and want to hear about it.
Well, it's so good to hear that that's how you perceive it on your end. Cause, you know, sometimes I think about that. Like, I don't want to be annoying or I don't want people to think it's like too much that they can't do it. Do you know what I mean? So that's like a hard balance too. So that's,
But you're also like selling it. I mean, I think also to talk about the other side of it, and I want to like say, I think you talked about the first steps and kind of how you got into it, but like in terms of right now, it's a good fulfilling side hustle. Like, do you make money doing it? And obviously, there's a side to it where you are promoting yourself. So
right.
how does that work?
Well, I had that concussion. And so I was out of work for a little while. And so I wasn't getting paid. We were definitely sort of, it wasn't fantastic financially for a while. I mean, and so this I've paid off 3 credit card bills, which has been
Wow.
like outstanding. So right now I'm like really using the money to kind of, I'm not like out buying a car yet.
Dollar bills.
I'm not like, hey, let's
3K, you're like getting your new car.
so not yet, but I mean, it's been, especially in the summer, we don't get paid. I feel like this is the first time in August in years where I'm not like biting my nails looking in the couch cushions for coins. So that's definitely something. I mean, it's been really, that part of it has been great. But yes, am I making money a little bit? But of course, hopefully, as this keeps going, more money will be had. I hope.
Well, I mean, just having like a little extra money, I feel like, I don't know if it's COVID, but I've just noticed like a lot of people that I've talked to have started to have kind of like side things where, yes, it's not going to allow them to quit their job maybe tomorrow, but it does give them some extra money in their pocket. And it's also something that they enjoy that isn't like a huge burden on them. I guess my next question is kind of like, how would you advise people? So if someone's listening to this, like myself, who has like 500 children or more, and is like,
Not a kids.
I know I always say that because it feels like so many. I feel like if you have three or more, you can say 500 because it feels like you're just, I don't know, they're talking like with COVID and I don't know, women who are work and the mental load that everybody talks about and just like the coordination of and the unknown. There's just so much that is just, you don't even see a lot of it that you're just mentally like juggling. And I think there's a lot of people who are so many people like myself who are just not fulfilled in what they're doing day to day and have things they want to do. Like, what do you say to those people who are looking to do something else? Like, how do you find time to like do that kind of stuff or start that or take like the first step if you have all this other stuff going on?
Well, I think that's a really great question. And I think in Beachbody, when I first had my first meeting with Casey Bachlet, and she said, well, what is your why? And when she said it, I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, why? Because I like fitness.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, but why? What? Like, she really made me think about my why. Like, why do I want to get into this? And there were a lot of layers to it. I wanted to help people. I wanted to make a little bit of money. but this is what I'm passionate about. And so I think your passion, when you know that you found the right side hustle, when you feel super passionate about it. And that the passion really drives you. So because of that passion, you'll wake up a little bit earlier in the morning, or stay up a little later to get the things done that you want to do. I think that's really important. I think also one of the biggest things I did was I figured out really early on that I had to get organized, and I had to like find a system that worked for me. So I don't know if you've ever seen these before. I have it ready, but
wow, look at you with your printed out journal.
I know, but I have it. So like I have my journal, and each month I could show you. I like make goals for myself. I try to achieve them. This is kind of like, unless you
Oh, I love that. I've seen that. So are these like what you would, I mean, I think this goes beyond just what you're doing fitness related, but are you saying, I mean, because I think that's a really good thing for anybody who wants to accomplish something, even if it's just a small step that they take, but to set goals like that. And I think the idea of writing them down like you do, and kind of, I've seen you post stuff on Instagram about that. I'm like, that's such a good idea. Like, it's motivating for me to see you do that. So I think that's,
Yeah, I feel like at first, I'll tell you. Okay, let's see. May. May was the first time I didn't like get all the goals I wanted. I think also just like letting the expectation, you have to have realistic goals, and you can't be defeated. I think you have to stay the course, whatever your side hustle is or your passion, you have to stay the course, because you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. And those highs feel so great, but the lows are hard sometimes. Just a couple months, we have these things called, like, my goal for myself each month is to get something called Success Club 10. And the other month was the first month since March. I got Success Club 5, but not 10. And at first I felt like super defeated, but then I had to go back to my why. Okay, why am I doing this? I'm trying to help people, trying to help people feel good about themselves. That means more to me than like my personal goals, because that's why I think the most important thing about a side hustle is your why. Why are you doing it? Because I always come back to that. When I'm feeling defeated, I always come back to my why. Well, why am I doing this? I'm doing
right.
it to help people, to get people to have a better, healthy lifestyle, And that to me is more important. I made Success Club 8, not 10. That's okay. You know what I mean? So you have to stay the course. And I think that those kinds of things help you to stay the course. And yeah, I mean, having a plan and being organized, I think, is important. Like, I'm so like obsessed, I have like all the different programs.
Oh, I think that's awesome though. But I think that means so much. I mean, that makes me emotional. Like, I don't know, because I think that like a plan and staying the course and that kind of thing, just whatever you do, regardless, because there may be people like when I finally get this edited and out who listen to this who are like really into fitness and health. Like I am too, but I'm not like in the way that I could like ever help anybody. I feel like people might look at you and be like, I want to do exactly what you're doing, and just feel like it's so daunting to like even start or think about, like they look at like final result of like where you're at, and that just like seems like too much. So it's like baby steps. And I also think just having like goals and little baby steps about something that you're interested in gives you a reason to feel excited to wake up in the morning. I mean,
Yeah,
that is like my sole reason for doing this, because I get excited talking to people about like what they're passionate about doing. Like that's fun for me. So I feel like just doing this, even though it's like work and it's like after whatever my kids are in bed, but it's like fun for me, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something that's for myself. And so I
absolutely.
think that's,
And you are meant for this, by the way. I just want to
yeah,
say, I feel so excited about this because you're right. I think that when you're moms, you're a mother and you're a wife and you're a daughter and a sister, whatever, and a friend, like it's so hard to balance all that. But then you start to realize I used to feel guilty about working out, and now I don't, because I know I'm a better, basically overall human when I've had time for myself. And that can be a workout, and that can be doing something that you're interested in, like podcast, a side hustle. I think moms really need to start feeling less guilty about taking time for themselves, because when you do that, you're a better mom, you're a better wife. Like when you have something that's fulfilling you, you're
yeah.
able to kind of be better at everything else. And we wear a lot of hats. And I think that when we can kind of do stuff for us, we're better at when we have to put all those other hats on.
Oh, I could not agree more. I mean, and I think it's really hard to not feel like even like husbands or whoever inadvertently or whatever can make you feel guilty or just not even knowing it, but make you feel bad about taking time for yourself. Because I also think I take 10 o'clock, whatever, I take time during the day to go work out. And I'm like, that is my time. And Brian will joke with me. He'll be like, oh, nothing gets in the way of your workout. And I'm like, no, because mentally that's just as important as me taking my medication every day, because I cannot make appropriate decisions for the family or manage emotions for like small people if I haven't done something like that for myself.
So true. I completely agree. And I just think it's more important. I think people need to talk about that more because we're so quick to feel guilty. And a lot of times people will comment like, oh my gosh, doesn't it drive you crazy? Like your kids are working out with you. I'm like, no, because I also think it's important to model for them, like the importance of exercise, but also like I will swim laps by myself or I'll go for like, even if it's like a quick walk, like I still get that time by myself. So it doesn't bother me. Like I can still find that my own time because I just think it's crucial. I really do.
No, I completely agree. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, for anybody, it doesn't have to always be working out, but I do think it's really important for people who like have something that they're interested in. They really like, you have to be selfish about your own time, just like you make your kids a priority, you make your husband a priority, you have to make yourself a priority. So I think that's like so important. So the last thing I want to kind of ask you, and I you don't have to give me like five, but and I think you gave some really good tips, but like if you are just starting your side hustle and you want to get started, whether it's in Beachbody and fitness and what you're doing, or whether it's in anything, like what would you say? Doesn't have to be five. It could be three. It could be anything that you want, whatever. What would you think your top tips are, however many you think you are, that somebody would kind of take away from this and be like, okay, that's really good advice?
Well, I think the number one thing is like, are you truly passionate about it? I think for me, everything comes back to your passion. That fuels everything. So I think once you're passionate about something, I think you have to immerse yourself in it first, whatever it is. Like for me, I just started as just like a customer on Beachbody, just like trying it out, exploring. And then I really realized like, wow, I love this. If you're doing like a podcast, like listening to different podcasts, what do you like? What don't you like? Just kind of like doing your research. And that looks different depending on what that side hustle is. But I think that's super important. And then once you've done that, if you're still feeling passionate about it, you've got to come up with a plan. What's your plan going to be? Is your plan going to be like, for me, I wake up early and I like to get stuff done and then also like be organized because you don't want to just wake up early and be like, what do I do first? Checklist. Like my journal is full.
How early do you wake up?
During the school year, I'll wake up at like 5:30.
Ouch.
I know. But you're more of a night owl, so you might have that time. But I like to go to bed early.
I know, you go to bed at like 9 p.m. I'm like, I can start working out at midnight, no problem.
And I also think like having a mentor is huge or somebody who has the same, like for me, Casey Bocklet has been an amazing mentor. I can literally text her. It seems like the silliest thing. And she never makes me feel like it's silly. So having somebody that you can trust, that you can ask questions and really learn so that you can be valuable in whatever you want to do. Like for me, it's like, I'll never forget. I had somebody get one of my first few weeks come to me saying, can you help me with the program? I had to have, my leg amputated from the knee down. And so I was able to reach out to some of these coaches who have been doing it for a long time. And everybody was so generous and really helped me so that I could give her the best information. So I think having people might look different depending on what that passion is or what that side hustle is.
I love that one though. I think a mentor is like so great because a mentor can kind of like help guide you when you're sort of lost, not lost, but like trying to navigate sort of how to start or how to get into something and inspire you like you got into Beachbody. So I think
all those other things help you so much when you're having kind of like a dip because you're not always like this. You're not always like this. Right. You have these moments where you're like, is this right? And then when you sit about it or you talk to your mentor, you look back at your plan, you reassess your why and then you're like, you know what, it is. And that's okay. You know what I mean? I think all of those kind of come together and they're the fuel that drive anything in life, a side hustle, your regular job, your family, you're passionate about your kids. It's not always, it's a lot.
No, just kidding. Yeah. No, it is a lot. I think it's so great. It's like I love talking to you because it just makes me happy because I think you just have really found your thing and it's awesome. I feel like to people who are listening, if they were really interested in doing what you're doing, I want you to, because I know this is also side hustle business for you. How can they find you? Where do they look you up? Like if they wanted to find out, like if they wanted to work with you personally and someone wanted to reach out to you and like have you be their mentor, how would they find you?
Oh my gosh, I would love that. They could send me a message on probably Instagram or Facebook, Amy Hoags, Hoags. That's probably the easiest way. Or, I mean, I guess you could also go on the Beachbody site and just search me. But yeah, I think social media, we're very lucky to be having these side hustles and everything during this time because social media really is such a great way to showcase our strengths and to show everybody what we're doing. And so that's definitely,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. You're the best. I know this is way past your bedtime.
No,
So
it's fine. I love it.
okay.
Oh,
Bye.
thanks. All
Thanks.
right, bye.
Bye.